Hi there, so this is a very quick video for the Abbie hooded jacket pattern 1841 in a response to a request from the lovely Renee for an alternative to the hood because she didn't have as much fabric as she needed to create the hood. So I've designed a standing collar for this pattern, which if you're in the Facebook group you'll be able to download from the files if you've already bought this pattern, or you could just re-download the pattern again from the website. So what we're going to need to do for this is you're going to cut a pair of collars, which means we're going to cut one up this way and cut one up this way. And in addition to that, you're going to need some fuse on one of them. So be very careful with the fuse you choose. You need to choose a fuse that's suitable for your fabric type, and because this is a stretch fabric, it really needs to be stretch fuse. So what you do is take one of the collar pieces and fuse it, and then go to your iron and turn up the edge with all of the notches on it, which is the neck edge, by 1 centimetre. So that's the edge with lots of notches on it, not the edge with just the one notch in the centre back. So when you've done that, take your collar pieces and place them right sides together. Now before I go any further, I need to say that the piece that you've fused is going to be the right side of the collar. That's the collar you're going to see, the side of the collar you're going to see when the garment is on. So what we're going to do is sew these together, right sides together, but when you sew them, make sure that that is turned up by 1 centimetre. So we want to start sewing from the edge here of the fold. This is a 6mm seam, which is 1/4 of an inch, sorry, so the 1 centimetre is 3/8 of an inch. So the bottom seam is 1 centimetre and the rest of the seams are 6mm. So starting at 1 centimetre, 3/8 of an inch, we're going to stitch around 3 sides in a 1/4 inch seam. Now when you get to the top here, stop with your needle down a 1/4 of an inch, 6mm before the edge, lift, turn and pivot. Now what you need to do is just match your fabric together on this top edge and make sure that when you sew down to your centre notch, that your notches match. And if your fuse is too firm, what will happen is that sometimes it can stretch out of place. So continue down here. To this other corner, you want to stop 6mm before the edge, lift, turn and pivot, and we're going to stitch back to the edge of the fold here and back tack to finish. Now if you need to, you might need to trim the corner back like this. If you're going to trim it back, make sure you leave about 2mm, which is under 1/8 of an inch from the corner, and then turn that collar through and push out all the edges. You might not need to trim these corners. It's really going to depend on your fabric type. So now we need to sew this to the neckline of our garment. So I've only cut a small part of the front and back of the garment together just to put this video together for you. But you need to be at the stage that you've already stitched through the button wrap, the centre front area. So you've stitched that down. So this is the stage we need to be at to attach the collar. So take your collar piece, and we're going to start sewing this on. I'll just trim the threads away. At this fold position here. So here is the garment wrong side up, and we want to sew this collar, so the unfused piece, to here. So we want wrong side to right side here. And this fold here needs to be right on the very edge. So we need to stitch exactly starting from here when we start sewing. So line that up with the edge and start sewing in a 1 centimetre 3/8 of an inch seam. And remember to back tack. And then continue around. So you're going to have a notch to match at the shoulder line, and make sure that seam is facing towards the back. Then stop once you're past that shoulder line and match the centre back notch together. And I forgot to mention, make sure you've got a stretch needle or a knit needle in your machine, and it's a good idea to have a longer stitch length than normal. And then keep stitching all the way back to the same position at the front. So we want to make sure when you finish that that edge is right on the corner. So to finish this off, what we're going to do now is turn this through and push all of that up into the collar area, and we have to top stitch this down, or we're edge stitching it down. So what you need to do firstly is to find all the notch positions and match them. So we want to find the notch that matches to the shoulder and pin that into place, and pin the centre back, and so on and so forth, because otherwise your collar will end up a little bit wobbly. So what we need to do is just push all that fabric up within the collar there, and when we stitch we want to make sure we just pull this fold so it covers the previous line of stitching, and we want to stitch just in from the edge, so it is only 2 millimeters or so, just under 1/8 of an inch. And we're just going to work our way around, making sure we've covered that original line of stitching, because we want to try and stitch on our existing line of stitching. When you do that, just make sure that nothing's pinched up underneath, and try and straighten that seam out as much as you can to get a lovely finish. So come back all the way to the beginning, just tuck all those edges there in, and remember to back tack, and that's it, you're finished. So what you can do now is put another button and a buttonhole in the very centre of the top here, so it matches in with the rest of the jacket, and it'll look nice and tidy when it's open and being worn. So thanks for joining me for the video. I hope you enjoyed this version of the collar, and see you again soon.